Good evening and welcome to a breaking international segment on DV Real News TV. I'm John Boss, and tonight, we turn our spotlight to a major immigration policy shift just announced in the United Kingdom, one that could have serious, life-altering implications for thousands of immigrant families, spouses, and international students currently residing within British borders. The UK government has officially introduced a sweeping reform to its dependent visa framework, a legal mechanism through which spouses, children, and other family members of primary visa holders gain temporary or permanent residence rights in the country. According to the new policy, a dependent who experiences a breakdown in marital or partnership status, specifically through divorce or legal separation, may now be subject to immediate immigration review, potential visa cancellation, and deportation. The announcement made earlier today by the UK Home Office has ignited a storm of debate within legal, migrant, and civil society circles. In particular, the clause that has caused the greatest uproar is this: if your marriage ends while your partner holds a dependent visa under your sponsorship, that dependent is expected to leave the UK, often within a strict, non-negotiable period of 60 to 90 days. Failure to do so may lead to enforced removal. From the UK Home Secretary allegedly said, and I quote, "The UK will not allow its immigration system to be used for convenience-based settlements. Family sponsorship must reflect genuine partnerships." This move represents a significant tightening of the rules, especially for foreign students, skilled workers, or residents who bring spouses and partners under family visas. Until now, dependent spouses could, in some cases, apply for extensions or alternative residency options post-divorce. That legal pathway is now narrowing, and in many cases, disappearing entirely. So, who is most affected by this seismic shift? The answer is tens of thousands, particularly international students from India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Southeast Asia, skilled workers under Tier 2 visas in healthcare, tech, and engineering sectors, spouses of British citizens whose stay relies solely on spousal sponsorship, women in vulnerable domestic situations now facing difficult choices. The UK issues over 100,000 dependent visas each year, many of which are attached to postgraduate students or skilled workers in the NHS, IT, finance, and construction sectors. These dependents, often spouses who leave jobs in their home countries to build a new life in Britain, may now be forced to abandon that journey altogether, should their marriage dissolve. Interviews with anonymous immigrants. According to this woman from India, said, I quote, "I moved to the UK with my husband on a dependent visa. After the divorce, I started working part-time and enrolled in a course to support myself. Now they tell me I have 60 days to leave. My entire life is here." Man from Nigeria also said, I quote, "My wife and I split up due to personal issues. But I've built a life here. I'm working legally. Why should I be forced to leave just because the relationship ended?" This policy has triggered a wave of criticism from legal experts and human rights advocates. They argue the reform violates international principles around fairness, due process, and the right to private and family life under the European Convention on Human Rights, to which the UK is still a party. Interview with UK-based immigration lawyer said that this effectively ties a person's entire legal status in the country to the success or failure of a relationship. That opens the door to coercion, abuse, and immense emotional pressure. Indeed, experts warn that the new rule could disproportionately harm women in abusive marriages, who might now be more afraid to leave their partners, fearing not just personal repercussions but deportation as well. On the other side of the aisle, the UK government argues that this change is essential to restore public trust in the immigration system. Officials say too many dependent visas were being exploited, sometimes through sham marriages or visa marriages of convenience, to gain entry and permanent residence. While fraudulent cases do exist, critics say this policy may be a case of overcorrection, punishing genuine migrants for the actions of a few bad actors. Already, diplomatic missions from countries including India, Bangladesh, Ghana, and the Philippines are seeking urgent clarification. Education and trade officials warn the measure could negatively impact student enrollment and foreign worker inflows. The UK has been a top destination for international students and skilled migrants. But observers say the climate is changing, becoming more transactional, less welcoming. As of now, the policy is being rolled out in phases, with new visa applicants from September 2025 being directly subject to the divorce deportation rule. Current residents whose relationships break down after this date will have to apply for a compassionate leave to remain, a pathway that immigration lawyers say is difficult to access and rarely granted. In plain terms, the message is clear: dependent visas will no longer offer post-marriage security. Divorce equals departure, unless exceptional circumstances can be proven. Public reaction remains sharply divided. Supporters of the policy argue it upholds the integrity of the immigration system. Opponents warn that it deepens the precarity of immigrant families and opens the door to discrimination and abuse. One thing is undeniable: the human cost of this policy will be profound. Marriages can fail. People can grow apart. But must they also lose their homes, their jobs, their communities? DV Real News TV bring you a breaking and highly controversial development unfolding in southern Africa. The Republic of Angola has issued an urgent and unprecedented 24-hour eviction notice targeting a significant number of Chinese nationals operating within its borders. The move has sent shockwaves across diplomatic, environmental, and geopolitical arenas. According to officials in Luanda, the decision stems from escalating accusations of mineral resource misappropriation, environmental degradation, and illegal economic activity involving foreign entities, primarily Chinese nationals linked to mining operations. At the heart of the issue lies Angola's rich mineral wealth, including diamonds, gold, copper, and rare earth elements, assets that have long attracted foreign investment. However, the Angolan government now alleges that some foreign operators, notably Chinese enterprises, have been engaged in what authorities call covert and systematic plundering of these resources. These activities, officials claim, are being conducted under the guise of legitimate business operations, but are in fact undermining the country's sovereignty, depleting national wealth, and causing irreversible damage to the natural environment. A high-level government report released early this morning accuses several Chinese-operated companies of conducting illegal mining, bypassing environmental regulations, and laundering proceeds through informal markets and international networks. The report, although classified in part, cites satellite data, financial transactions, and whistleblower testimony as part of the government's evidence base. Interview with Angola's Minister of Environment and Urban Planning said, I quote, "We cannot allow foreign actors to exploit our land, leave behind devastation, and send the profits elsewhere. Angola's resources belong to the Angolan people. The law must be respected, no matter who you are." The 24-hour ultimatum was delivered via an executive decree late last night, ordering the immediate departure of individuals identified in the investigation. The government has also launched a task force involving military, immigration, and environmental enforcement units to ensure compliance and to shut down unauthorized mining operations effective immediately. This development marks a stark shift in Angola's foreign relations, particularly with China, which has long been one of Angola's top trading partners and investors. The two nations have maintained strong ties, with Chinese companies heavily involved in infrastructure, oil, and mining sectors throughout the country. However, analysts say this incident reveals growing tensions beneath the surface. Critics argue that years of unchecked foreign investment, often tied to opaque contracts and political deals, have contributed to the erosion of local oversight, environmental protection, and economic equity. The Chinese government, meanwhile, has not officially responded to the eviction order. Unconfirmed reports suggest that diplomatic channels have been activated behind closed doors, with Beijing seeking clarification and potential de-escalation. Chinese nationals affected by the decree are reportedly scrambling to comply, with many preparing to leave the country on short notice. Some Chinese business owners claim the allegations are politically motivated, citing long-standing investment partnerships and pointing to Angola's struggling economy as a possible factor behind the crackdown. Others have expressed fear and uncertainty, unsure of their legal standing and rights amidst the unfolding situation. The story has also stirred passionate responses from Angolan civil society. Environmental groups, community leaders, and youth organizations have applauded the government's decision, calling it a long-overdue step toward protecting Angola's land and asserting national control over its natural assets. Human rights advocates, however, urge caution. They warn that mass expulsions, particularly under short deadlines, can lead to legal violations and humanitarian issues. They call on the Angolan government to ensure that due process is observed and that the actions are guided by the rule of law. Legal expert voice, allegedly. Mass deportations raise complex legal questions. Even if illegal activity is involved, individuals are entitled to legal representation and the presumption of innocence. Evictions must be executed lawfully. As the 24-hour deadline ticks down, global attention is now focused on how Angola will manage the aftermath, economically, diplomatically, and socially. Will this lead to a cooling of relations between Luanda and Beijing? Could this spark similar actions in other resource-rich African nations grappling with the consequences of foreign exploitation? One thing is clear: Angola's government is signaling a bold assertion of sovereignty, one that could redefine its national policies and regional posture in the years to come. We will continue to follow this developing story and bring you updates as they unfold. For now, this has been a special report on DV Real News TV. I'm John Boss. Stay informed, stay aware, and stay with us.